So for you to launch the app, I have it on your data logger. If you just you get to you look after power on your data logger. So it will come up like this. When you launch the high survey app, it will come up. Then you go to project. You create a new project. Then click new. Let's see. I want to call it NJJ test. NJJ space test. Okay, then the projection is there. That mean now whatever. We in Kaduna here were in zone 32. So that's why I'm selecting zone 32. If it is WGS you want to use, that's all the everything is there, all the projection are there. So if I'm using Mina, you'll see I'm using Mina, then you click OK. Then you click OK here. Okay, then you go to this what do you call it? Coordinates. Then you go to parameter. Then it's shoulder parameter. When it's not in so that it be in automatic height. If it's not in the local so if it's not in plat 8080, then you can select. You can see you select it by it on your own. So you just click OK. But once you set it once, except somebody tamper with it, it will always come by that. It will always be there. So for you to from here now create project on the project page. Then for you to what do you call it? For you to connect the receiver now, then my base. I'll first you go to device here, you click connect. So let me first unband all the receivers I have here. So that I'll search now here. I'll first first connect my base. So my base has a serial number of 289 here. So just as I said, I'm going to set your own accordingly. The base and rover, then marked it. Then you click pair. The one it has successfully here, you see it has marked it as base mode. Then see it's telling you about the firing the which doesn't have anything to do here. So what you do now is just click on here. If you want to do, let's say you are setting on a point that you know with the coordinate of X, Y, Z, then you can put the coordinate here. You can put the pillar number here, that is the coordinate name. Let's say P1, that is the pillar number example. Then your target height, then you measure it from the bottom of that yellow pole to the receiver down to the bottom